Oh, that's a really harsh thing to say, isn't it? I feel bad having said that, but it's also not untrue.
Day four of the first test from Mount Maunganui, and it's time to ask George. Reese Benjamin asks, should Anderson have been man of the match, player of the match, with figures of 7-4, 54?
No, but it doesn't matter. These things don't matter. It's a team game, and these are silly awards. But seeing as you ask, I think the game is set up by the way England batted in the first innings. You know, it's ridiculous to have lost the toss and think, never mind, we'll bowl under lights anyway. I mean, it's so ridiculous that I think it's not getting the credit it deserves. They declared before they'd faced 60 overs. It just doesn't happen. On the first day, it would have been before tea on the first day of a normal test. It's ridiculous. And they did that partly because of the way that Harry Brook bats. Now, I think that's the third player of the match award he's won in succession. And in the game before that, he scored 240 runs and didn't win it. So, which shows you all sorts of things. It shows you what a valuable player he is. Obviously, Jimmy Anderson had a brilliant game. So did Stuart Broad in the end. You know, it's a team game. And one of the things that this England team is doing so well is playing as a team. So these awards don't matter anyway. But I think it's fair enough to have given it to a batter.
Jack Rule says, is it time to stop the experiment with day-night tests? They always end up being one-sided, and the night session drastically changes the game every time.
Well, yeah, but they usually end up being dramatically one-sided towards the side that wins the toss, don't they? So, look, there are some legit issues with the pink ball in particular, and that's fine. But actually, in this game, I thought the fact that it was day-night injected some sort of tactical interest. You know, the fact is that England did declare after 58 or whatever overs. They also batted the way they did on the third day so they could bowl under lights again. I thought that was quite interesting, and that might not have happened in other ways. So, yeah, there are legit gripes about it, but there were some positives as well. And I think it was a sellout on day three. How many sellouts do they get in Test cricket in New Zealand? Don't know. Not loads, I suspect, although we've got 3 in a row in Wellington, I see, on day games. These things are good. These things matter. So it's not a black and white answer to the red-pink question.
And isn't Test cricket just about how you deal best with the conditions anyway, regardless of whether there's lights, regardless of whether there's pink ball, regardless of whether you win the toss?
Well, yeah, but I think there is an issue. Yes, it is. That's a fair point. But I think there is an issue with the pink ball in that it isn't particularly meritocratic for periods of play, and you know the red ball behaves, I don't know, differently for most portions of its lifespan, and that's relevant as well. So I have some sympathy for the question.
Kiwi Callie asks, what can/should New Zealand do to turn things around before the second test?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, I don't think they're as far away as it seemed. I actually think the batting lineup's good. I think the batting lineup is strong.
Yeah.
They lost 8 for 100 under lights in this game. Well, they're not going to have lights to worry about. But that batting lineup, yeah, it's still pretty good. The bowling lineup, I thought, was very modest. I think they got away with it a bit, but they should have Matt Henry back. So straight away, they're significantly better. So that will happen. And then, of course, they could say to Trent Boult, come and play. I'm right at the foot of the mountain here, Mount Maunganui. I've walked up it the last couple of days, and it's hard. It is steep. And I believe that Trent Boult runs up it every morning in something ridiculous, like 15 minutes. He's a stag of a man. If he's at all anywhere near fit, then he could get away with coming into a test having not played first-class cricket for quite a long time, I expect. So I'd be tempted to bring him and Matt Henry in. And then, you know what? I think they're a terrific side. I say again, that batting lineup, look at it. It's really, really good. And England deserve quite a lot of praise for getting through it in the way they did. But this bowling lineup, you know, there's a couple of guys who are very lucky to have played a test match. Oh, that's a really harsh thing to say, isn't it? I feel bad having said that, but it's also not untrue.
And we won't.
Actually, one of them's
edit that
really
as well.
lucky to play the test match. One of them's incredibly lucky to have played a test match because of his personal record and the fact that he's not that good. So I don't feel that bad saying that. So yeah, they can improve quite easily. The one thing I'd be worried about from a New Zealand perspective is that they look rattled. I mean, the way they collapsed today again at the start of the play anyway was a bit soft, and they're better than that. So they'll need to douse themselves in cold water and come back a bit harder in a couple of days. But it's not as bad as it seems.
Do you have any sympathy for the New Zealand cricket position about Trent Boult? And he's turned down a contract, so maybe his position is pretty clear.
Well, yeah. Do I have some sympathy? I mean, yes, because they're trying to have some consistency of selection and trying to motivate people to play for New Zealand. But Trent Boult's record for New Zealand is exceptional. He's given masses for years, and surely no one is being critical of him using the last portion of his career, having given so much, to ensure that his financial future, his family's financial future is protected. That seems to be entirely reasonable. And I think most people in New Zealand just wish him well. He hasn't ruled himself out. He's just said he's going to try and make some money for a couple of years while he can. Seems kind of reasonable to me.
Will Cooling asks, is this arguably the most dominant and controlled performance England have had under this regime?
I don't think so, actually, because I did think there was a spell on the third day where they might have let it slip and that a better side might have taken advantage. But it's an interesting question. There have been some very, very good performances. I take the point, Will, because they've come from behind, obviously, in the summer. I mean, that first test in Pakistan, how many did they score on the opening day? That was pretty commanding. Brave declarations. I don't know. It's a very impressive performance. And as I say again, I think that it would be hard to... I mean, it's just... The game's changed so much that people declare after 60 overs of the first innings. That's an amazingly brave thing to do. And it still surprises me. And it's... yeah. So is it the most impressive or whatever the question was? I don't know. But the fact is it's 10 wins out of 11 since this McCullum and Stokes partnership came together. From where they were, it really is incredible. And who would really say at this stage where it will stop? I mean, you look at them playing and you think, actually, there's quite a lot of room for improvement. Which is crazy, because you would think it then shows quick bowling. You would think, Jofra or Mark Wood coming back would strengthen it. You think that Johnny Bairstow coming back in would strengthen it. There's some difficult selections, but these are very exciting times, and it's a terrific performance.
And Will asks again, Anderson, is surely going to break Murali's test record, isn't he?
No. I mean, he can't, can he? How many short of Murali is he? About 120? 118?
118, yeah.
No, but he must be getting close. 118. Such a geek. So does that mean he is about 26 short of Shane Warne? Something like that.
His last
he might do that one.
His last 118 cover the end of Alistair Cook's test career.
Yeah, so you would think that... no, I don't think that will happen, but it shouldn't, just enjoy it while it lasts, because it could end any minute. I wonder with Jimmy Anderson, maybe it will end with him being carried off. Maybe it will. Maybe he'll never have had enough. But, aging is real. He is human. It does happen. History tells us that something will give at some stage. But who knows? It's a little while, of course, as well, after this test, before England play again. in Test cricket. This is one of the great things about Brendan McCullum's job. I mean, look what happens after the Ashes. They finish in July, yeah? They don't play again till January. Brilliant. So it will be difficult for him, Anderson, as well, to maybe remain fit. I mean, what does he do in that period to then come back and play in India?